The lawyer looked at my suit and smiled. Not a friendly smile. The kind that says, I've already won and you don't even know it yet. He leaned back in his leather chair, the kind that probably cost more than most people's monthly rent, and said to my wife, Jennifer, I think we can wrap this up quickly. Your husband clearly can't afford proper representation. My name is David Morse. I'm 58 years old. I was sitting in a conference room at Whitmore and Associates, one of the most expensive law firms in Boston, wearing a JCPenney suit I'd bought on sale 3 years ago. My wife of 32 years sat across from me next to her attorney, Marcus Whitmore himself. Senior partner, the man who handled divorces for CEOs, professional athletes, old money families. Jennifer wore a cream-colored designer dress. New. I recognized the Nordstrom bag in her car that morning before I'd left for work. Her jewelry caught the afternoon light coming through the floor-to-ceiling windows. The diamond tennis bracelet I'd never seen before. The Cartier watch that definitely wasn't in our safe deposit box. Marcus Whitmore adjusted his Rolex and opened a leather folder. Mr. Morse, let's be realistic. You're a public school teacher. Jennifer has shown me your joint financial statements. You have approximately $48,000 in savings, a 2015 Honda Civic with 90,000 miles, and a modest teacher's pension that won't start for 7 years. He paused. Jennifer, on the other hand, has been the primary earner for the past decade through her real estate business. That was true. Jennifer sold luxury homes in the Boston suburbs. She'd done well, very well. Last year alone, she'd closed over $4 million in sales. She drove a Mercedes E-Class, wore $1,000 suits to open houses, had an assistant and a social media manager. We're prepared to be generous, Marcus continued. Jennifer will keep the house in Brookline. It's in her name anyway, purchased with her commissions. She'll keep her business assets, her accounts. You'll receive $15,000 as a settlement and can keep your pension when it vests. We think that's more than fair given the circumstances. I sat there, didn't speak, just listened. Jennifer finally looked at me. David, this doesn't have to be difficult. We've grown apart. You know that. I need someone who matches my lifestyle now, someone who understands ambition, someone who matches her lifestyle. I'd heard that before, 3 months ago when she told me she'd been seeing someone else, a hedge fund manager she'd met at a charity gala, someone who wore Tom Ford suits and owned a place on Beacon Hill. Marcus Whitmore pulled out another document. There's one more thing. Jennifer would like you to vacate the house within 30 days. She's already made arrangements for you to stay at an extended stay hotel. She'll cover the first 2 weeks. He slid the papers across the table. Initial here, here, and here. Sign at the bottom. We can have this finalized by Friday. I picked up the pen, looked at the document, set the pen down. No, I said quietly. Marcus blinked. Excuse me? I'm not signing this. Jennifer leaned forward. David, be reasonable. Marcus went to Harvard Law. He's handled over 300 divorces. You can't afford a lawyer. You can't afford to fight this. I know, I said. That's why I'm representing myself. Marcus actually laughed out loud. Mr. Morse, with all due respect, family law is incredibly complex. Massachusetts has very specific statutes about asset division, spousal support, equitable distribution. You're a high school English teacher. You're not equipped for this. I'll manage. He shook his head and glanced at Jennifer. She shrugged. David's always been stubborn, she said. Let him waste his time. We'll see him in court. Marcus gathered his papers. Mr. Morse, you have 48 hours to respond to our initial filing. After that, we'll proceed with a court date. I strongly suggest you reconsider. This will get expensive for you. Very expensive. I stood up. My cheap suit wrinkled from sitting. My shoes scuffed. My briefcase from Staples. I'll see you in 48 hours. Avanano, I said. As I left, I heard Marcus say to Jennifer, don't worry, he'll crack. They always do when they realize what litigation costs. I walked to my Honda in the parking garage, sat behind the wheel for a long moment. Then I made 3 phone calls. The first was to Margaret Chen. She answered on the second ring. David, how did it go? Exactly as we expected. He thinks I'm broke. And Jennifer? She's convinced this will be over by Friday. Margaret was quiet for a moment. You know, you could have worn your real suit, made this easier on yourself. No, I needed to see it, needed to know for sure. And now you know? Now I know. The second call was to Thomas Brady, managing partner at Brady and Carlson, the firm I'd kept on retainer for the past 15 years. Not for me, for the other thing, the thing Jennifer never knew about. Tom, it's time. I need you to prepare the documents we discussed. All of them. You're sure about this, David? Completely. I'll have everything ready by tomorrow morning. The third call was to my brother, Robert. He was the only person who knew everything, the only one I'd told. How bad? He asked. She wants to leave me with $15,000 and a pension I can't touch for 7 years. Robert swore. After everything you've done for her? Apparently, I don't match her lifestyle anymore. Are you going through with it? All of it. David, once you do this, there's no going back. I know. I drove home to the house in Brookline. The house Jennifer said was in her name. The house I'd let her believe she'd bought with her commissions. I walked through rooms I'd lived in for 28 years, past the kitchen we'd renovated together, past the study where I'd graded thousands of papers late at night, past the bedroom where we'd stopped sleeping in the same bed 2 years ago. I went to my study and unlocked the filing cabinet, the one Jennifer had never looked in because it just contained my teaching materials. Old lesson plans, student essays, nothing interesting, except for the bottom drawer. I pulled out a folder. Inside were documents I'd kept meticulously organized for 30 years. Property deeds, stock certificates, business and corporation papers, bank statements from accounts Jennifer had never seen, tax returns I'd filed separately, legally, quietly. Because here's what Marcus Whitmore and Jennifer didn't know. I wasn't just a high school English teacher. I'd been teaching for 33 years, yes. Loved it. Never wanted to stop. But when I was 25, fresh out of college, before I'd even started my teaching career, my grandfather died and left me his business. A small commercial printing company in South Boston. Nothing glamorous. Just a solid, profitable business that printed materials for local companies. I sold it 2 years later for $340,000. Invested that money carefully, very carefully. Put it into rental properties when the market crashed in 1991. Bought them cheap, fixed them up myself during summers. Rented them out to college students and young professionals. Over 30 years, that initial investment grew. I reinvested profits, bought more properties, diversified into index funds, kept everything in a separate LLC I'd established before Jennifer and I got married. The house in Brookline, I bought it, cash, in 1996, but I'd put it in Jennifer's name as a gift when we got married. Told her it was from a teacher's loan program. She'd never questioned it. My current net worth, according to the statements in front of me, $4.7 million. Jennifer thought I was worth $48,000. The next morning, I met with Tom Brady at his office downtown. He had everything prepared. David, I have to ask one more time. Are you absolutely certain? Show me what you have. He spread documents across his conference table. First, the house. You purchased it in 1996 for $180,000. You put it in Jennifer's name as a gift, but Massachusetts law is clear about marital assets. Regardless of whose name is on the deed, property acquired during marriage is subject to equitable division. Since you purchased it with your separate funds before the marriage was formalized, we can argue, I don't want the house, I interrupted. She can keep it. Tom looked surprised. It's worth over $900,000 now. I know, let her have it, he continued. Second, your rental properties. You own 8 units in Cambridge and Somerville, all held in your LLC, Morse Property Holdings. Total value approximately $3.2 million. These were purchased with separate funds and maintained separately throughout the marriage. They're not marital assets. Good. Third, your investment accounts. $1.3 million in index funds and bonds. Again, separate property, not subject to division. And the teaching pension? That's marital property. She's entitled to a portion of that, calculated from the date of marriage to the date of divorce. How much? Roughly 40% of the monthly benefit when it vests. I nodded. That's fair. Tom leaned back. David, you could fight for everything. You could leave her with almost nothing. The prenup you wanted to sign, she refused. That works in your favor now. But if you claim the house, show your assets, demonstrate her adultery, you could. I don't want revenge, Tom. I want justice. There's a difference. He studied me. What do you want? I want Marcus Whitmore to understand who he's dealing with. I want Jennifer to see what she threw away. And then I want to walk away clean. Define clean. She keeps the house, her business, her car. I keep everything she didn't know about. We split the teacher's pension according to law, and she signs an agreement that she'll never contact me again after this is finalized. Tom made notes. And Mr. Whitmore? I want him in court tomorrow morning. I want him completely unprepared. And I want him to watch everything fall apart. I can do that. Tom filed my response at 4:58 p.m., 2 minutes before the courthouse closed. He requested an emergency hearing for 9 a.m. the next morning, citing new evidence relevant to asset division. Marcus Whitmore received the notification at 5:15 p.m. He called Jennifer immediately. She called me at 5:47. David, what the hell are you doing? Marcus says you filed something. You can't afford to file anything. You don't have a lawyer. I'll see you tomorrow morning, I said and hung up. The courtroom was nearly empty. Judge Patricia Morrison presiding. She was known for being sharp, fair, and having zero patience for unprepared attorneys. Marcus Whitmore arrived at 8:55, looking irritated. He wore a different expensive suit. Jennifer was beside him, nervous now. She kept glancing at me. I sat alone at my table wearing the same JCPenney suit, the same scuffed shoes. Tom Brady sat in the gallery behind me, just watching. Judge Morrison entered. We stood. She reviewed the files quickly. Mr. Whitmore, you filed a petition for divorce. Mr. Morse filed a response. You requested this emergency hearing, Mr. Morse. Yes, Your Honor. On what grounds? Material misrepresentation of assets, Your Honor. Mrs. Morse's attorney has presented a financial picture that is incomplete. Marcus stood. Your Honor, Mr. Morse is representing himself. He's not familiar with proper procedure. His response is filled with, I'll decide what's proper, Mr. Whitmore. Sit down. Judge Morrison looked at me. Proceed, Mr. Morse. I stood, pulled out my documents. Your Honor, Mrs. Morse's petition states that I have approximately $48,000 in assets, a vehicle, and a future pension. That is accurate for my joint assets with Mrs. Morse. Marcus looked relieved. However, I continued, I also have separate assets, acquired before marriage and maintained separately throughout, as is my right under Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 208, Section 34. I handed copies to the bailiff. I own 8 rental properties in Cambridge and Somerville. Combined value $3.2 million. I own a portfolio of index funds and bonds, value $1.3 million. I purchased our home in Brookline in 1996 with separate funds and gifted it to Mrs. Morse. The courtroom went dead silent. Jennifer's face went white. Marcus Whitmore grabbed the papers from the bailiff and started reading frantically. Your Honor, I said calmly, I'm not requesting any of Mrs. Morse's assets. She may keep the house, her business, her vehicle. I'm requesting only that my separate property be recognized as such and that we divide the marital pension according to statute. Judge Morrison studied the documents. Mr. Whitmore, were you aware of these assets? Marcus was still reading, his face red now. Your Honor, my client informed me. We conducted a thorough. That's a no. Mr. Morse, these documents appear to be in order. Property deeds, account statements, tax returns, all showing separate maintenance throughout a 32-year marriage. Quite impressive bookkeeping. Thank you, Your Honor. She looked at Jennifer. Mrs. Morse, were you aware your husband owned $4.5 million in assets? Jennifer couldn't speak, just shook her head. Mr. Whitmore, your petition requests that Mr. Morse receive $15,000 as a settlement. Given what I'm seeing here, that seems remarkably inadequate. Would you like to revise your position? Marcus Whitmore looked like he'd been hit by a truck. Your Honor, we need time to review. You had 48 hours to review, Counselor. That was your timeline, not mine. Judge Morrison turned to me. Mr. Morse, you're requesting no assets from Mrs. Morse? Correct, Your Honor. She can keep everything in her name. I only ask for what's mine. And the pension? Divided according to statute, 40% to Mrs. Morse, calculated from date of marriage to date of divorce. Jennifer finally found her voice. David, wait. Judge Morrison cut her off. Mrs. Morse, you're represented by counsel. Let him speak. Marcus stood slowly. Your Honor, perhaps we could request a continuance. We need time to what? Prepare? You had months to prepare, Mr. Whitmore. You filed this petition. You set this timeline. You told your client this would be wrapped up quickly. I believe those were your words in your initial conference with Mr. Morse. Marcus looked at me. Really looked at me for the first time. The cheap suit, the calm expression, the perfect documentation. Your Honor, he said quietly, we'd like to request a settlement conference. I bet you would. Judge Morrison signed something. I'm approving Mr. Morse's division of assets as filed. All separate property returns to Mr. Morse. Marital pension divided per statute. Mrs. Morse keeps all assets in her name. Court costs split equally. You have 30 days to finalize the paperwork. Dismissed. The gavel came down. Marcus Whitmore grabbed my arm as I was leaving. Mr. Morse, please. Can we talk in private? We went to an empty conference room. Jennifer and Tom Brady waited outside. I need you to understand, Marcus said. His voice had changed completely. No confidence now, just desperation. If this goes on your record, if you file a complaint with the bar, I could. Jennifer told me you were a teacher. She showed me joint accounts. She said, she lied, I said simply, or she never bothered to ask. I'm not sure which is worse. Please, let me make this right. We can settle. We just did settle. The judge approved my terms. It's over. But your assets, the properties, Jennifer might try to what? They're separate property. Documented for 30 years. She has no claim. You have no case. And if you try to fight this, I have one of the best family law attorneys in Boston sitting in that hallway. He's been on retainer for 15 years. He's never lost. Marcus sank into a chair. Why? Why did you let it get this far? Why didn't you just tell her from the start who you were? Because I needed to know. I needed to see what she really thought of me. What you really thought of me. And now I do. I walked to the door. Mr. Morse, Marcus called after me. The suit, the car, all of it. It was a test? No, I said. It's just who I am. I'm a teacher. I wear cheap suits because I don't need expensive ones. I drive an old car because it runs fine. None of that has anything to do with what I'm worth. I paused. You assumed it did. You both did. And that was your mistake. Jennifer was waiting in the hallway, crying. David, I didn't know. I swear I didn't know about the properties, the money, any of it. I know you didn't. I never told you. Why? Because I wanted a wife who loved me for who I am, not what I have. And for 32 years, I thought I had that. I guess I was wrong. We can fix this. We can start over. I'll end things with, no. You made your choice when you told me I didn't match your lifestyle. You were right. I don't match your lifestyle. I match mine. Tom Brady handed me a folder. Everything's finalized. 30 days and it's done. We walked out of the courthouse into bright May sunshine. Tom turned to me. How do you feel? Tired, I said honestly, but free. What will you do now? Keep teaching, keep managing my properties, maybe travel a little. I've always wanted to see Ireland. You could retire. You have more than enough. I don't teach for the money, Tom. I never did. A month later, I signed the final divorce papers. Jennifer kept the house in Brookline, her business, her Mercedes. I kept my properties, my investments, my pension. We split the court costs. Marcus Whitmore sent me a formal letter of apology, asked me not to file a complaint with the Bar Association. I didn't respond. I didn't need to. I found a small apartment in Cambridge near my rental properties. 2 bedrooms, walking distance to my school. I still wear the same JCPenney suits, still drive the Honda, still grade papers at my kitchen table. But now when I walk into a room, I don't worry about being underestimated. I know what I'm worth. and it has nothing to do with what I'm wearing.